I designed this mini hammock to be fashionable yet functional. Its beautiful design is very versatile and would be a great wall organizer in your kitchen, nursery, dorm room, bathroom, or recreational vehicle. The concept to make this is very simple, and it's easily adjustable, and I'm excited to show you how to make it. Stay tuned! To begin, you will need to make a chain in multiples of 6 until it reaches the size that you desire. For mine, I did 16 inches or 41 centimeters. Then you will need to chain 5 more. My chain was a total of 65 chains. Now turn your work so that the backbone is facing up. Count down to your 5th stitch and place a double crochet in that stitch. This beginning chain will count as a double crochet, chain 1, chain 3. You're going to skip 5 stitches. Place a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 3, skip 5. Place a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the next stitch. I'm going to refer to this as the V-stitch from here on out. As you can see, it makes a V shape. So you're going to chain 3, skip 5, and make a V-stitch in the next stitch to the end. So here we are at the end. You're going to chain 3, and in the very last stitch, you're going to make 1 double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet. Now you will chain 3 and turn your work. That is going to count as 1 stitch. You're going to place 3 more double crochet in that chain 1 space from the row below. It should look like you have 4 double crochet together. You're going to skip the next space, and you're going to go to the space in the V-stitch. Make 3 double crochet in the next chain space. Now you're going to chain 3 and make 3 more double crochet in the chain space. We are going to be working in the chain spaces of the V-stitches from the row below in this row. It should look like this. Skip to the next V-stitch chain space and make another 3 double crochet chain 3 and 3 more double crochet. I'm going to call this a cluster V-stitch from here on out. You're going to make a cluster V-stitch in the top of all the chain spaces from the V-stitches below except for the last stitch. In the last chain space, we are going to do 4 double crochet. Since we begin the row with 4 double crochet, we are going to end the row with 4 double crochet. Now you're going to chain 4. This will count as a double crochet, chain 1. You're going to place a double crochet in the same stitch. Now you're going to chain 3 and skip to the chain space of the cluster V-stitch. You're going to make a V-stitch in that chain space. If you remember, a V-stitch is a double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the same stitch. Now you'll chain 3 and skip to the next cluster V-stitch chain space. Make a V-stitch in that space. You're going to chain 3, make a V-stitch in every cluster V-stitch to the end. We will be making our last stitches in the top of the chain 3. Place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that last stitch. Now for this pattern, you will just repeat rows 2 and 3 until you reach the desired size. For me, I am wanting to go until it is 10 inches high, or 25.5 centimeters. So here my finished piece is. It's 16 inches like we started with, and of course 10 inches in height. Once you've reached the size that you desire, repeat row 2 once more. We are going to be working in the row to make the front embellishment. So here I have row 2 completed. And now we're going to work on increasing so that we can have the nice detail on the front that hangs over. So I'm going to increase in every other cluster V-stitch chain space. So to begin, you will chain 4 and turn. Place 1 double crochet in the same stitch. Chain 3. And now we're going to increase and make an extra V-stitch. So make 1 V-stitch, chain 3, and make another V-stitch in the same space. It should look like this, like a little flower. You should have 3 chain spaces and 4 double crochet in the same chain space. Now we're going to chain 3 and do a 1 V-stitch in the next chain space. We're not going to increase in this one. We only increase in every other one. Chain 3, and now we are going to increase. That will be a V-stitch, chain 3, V-stitch, all in the same chain space. This is how it should look. Chain 3, make 1 V-stitch in the next chain space. As you can see, we've got a pattern here. Increase in every other chain space. You do not increase in the ones between. When you get to the end, you will place a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, just like we began with. So here I've completed my row and I have increased in every other chain space. For this last row, we are going to create the points. So in our V-stitches, we are going to do a cluster V-stitch. And in the center of our increase, we are going to do a cluster V-stitch. And this is going to give us the points. So begin by chaining 3 and turning. Place 3 double crochet in the chain 1 space below. Now skip the next chain space and go to the increase area. Place 3 double crochet in the first V-stitch. In the center chain 3 space, you are going to place a cluster V-stitch to give it the point. Now we're going to put 3 double crochet in the next V-stitch. Now you see we have a nice point. Now you're going to skip to the next V-stitch, and we are going to make a cluster V-stitch like usual, but we are going to make a picot stitch in the chain 3. So to do that, you just chain 3, turn and count to the 3rd stitch from your hook, and place a single crochet. Now finish your cluster V-stitch. As you can see, the picot stitch gives the point more definition. So now we are going to repeat the process. Skip to the next V-stitch and make 3 double crochet. In the center chain 3, you are going to make a cluster V-stitch. And in the next V-stitch, 3 double crochet. And now we are going to repeat the cluster V-stitch with the picot stitch. This is how it should look. You should have a large point and a small point. The smaller points having the picot stitch. I'm going to repeat this process all the way to the end of the row, and you will put 4 double crochet in the last chain 1 space, since we began with 4 double crochet in the first chain 1 space. This is how it should look. If you have 5 large points, you're ready to fasten off. Now to add our wooden rings, I'm going to use these small 45mm rings, but you could really use as big as you have. It just has to be able to fit on the hook that you're putting it on. So this is what mine measure. So this is how your piece should look. It should sort of fan out at the top 4 rows that we did for the front flap. So now we're going to take the sides and cinch them in so that it has the hammock shape, and we're going to attach it to the wooden rings. So to do that, make sure that your piece is right side up with the beginning rows and ending rows like this, and then turn your work and count up 4 rows. We are going to join with a slip stitch, and then we're going to slip stitch in each row all the way to the bottom and also into the foundation chain. That should give us a total of 16 slip stitches. So count down 4 rows and join with a slip stitch. We're going to chain 1 and slip stitch in the same space. Now place 1 slip stitch in the side of each row. Just 1 slip stitch per row. You want to slip stitch loosely because we're going to be working back into those stitches. And you don't want this to be super tight. You just want it to draw in gracefully. I'm going to repeat this all the way to the end. Don't forget the foundation chain. You want to make sure that you end with 16 slip stitches. This is how it should look. As you see, it has drawn it in. There are 16 slip stitches, but there's still too many stitches to fit on the wooden ring. You wouldn't want to put 16 single crochet on this ring. So we're going to decrease 1 more time. This is a little tricky. We're going to actually single crochet decrease as we add the ring. So chain 1 and turn. We're going to be working into the front loops only of these slip stitches. This will create a nice ribbing. And we're also going to be single crocheting 2 together as we go. So to begin, place your ring between your working yarn and your hook. Place your hook through the ring, yarn over, pull through. This is essentially a slip stitch. Now move the ring to the right and out of the way. We are going to work through the front loop only, like I said, of these slip stitches. Put your hook in the first slip stitch through the front loop only, yarn over and pull up a loop. Repeat it in the next stitch. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Push the ring back between your yarn and your hook. Put your hook through the ring, yarn over, go through all 3 loops on your hook. Again, this is a single crochet decrease through the ring. Move the ring to the right. Place your hook in the next stitch, in the front loop only, and pull up 1 loop. Go in the next stitch through the front loop only, and pull up 1 loop. You should have 3 stitches on your hook. Put the ring back between your yarn and hook. Put your hook through the ring, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet. We're decreasing. I'm going to show you one more time. Go through the front loop only of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Go through the front loop only of the next stitch and pull up a loop. Push the ring back between your yarn and hook. Put your hook in the ring, yarn over, go through all 3 loops. Repeat this process all the way to the end. When you are finished, you should have 8 single crochet inside your wooden ring. When you get to the end, fasten off. And this is how it should look. This is technically the back or the underside of the hammock. And this is the front. If you see, we have a nice ribbing. So this is how you want to lay your piece to start the other side. So you want the front to be the ribbed side, and of course the back to look like this. You want your front flap to be facing you right side up, and then spin your work like this. We're going to join our yarn with a slip stitch and slip stitch the opposite direction until we've reached the last 4 rows. So join at the top with a slip stitch. Chain 1 and slip stitch in each side of the row. Repeat this, leaving the last 4 rows undone. This is how it should look, same as the other side. We'll be attaching the wooden ring the exact same way we did the other side, so I won't show you again. This is how your finished piece should look. As you can see, there's a nice hammock, thanks to the wooden rings. And this is the front overhang. We're nearly done, we just have to add our tassels. I'm going to add 5. Now you could use large beads or small beads, but the thing that I like to make sure is that the holes of the beads are big enough for me to put my hook on. So you're going to want to cut 5 strands about 12 inches long, and we're going to put 1 as a tassel in each of the 5 larger points. So we're attaching it in a tassel fashion. Now, take one of your wooden beads and put it on your hook. Grab those tails and pull them through the wooden bead. Open those tails. Now we're going to make our tassel tails. I just used my fingers. They're about 4 inches long. I'm going to wrap the yarn around my fingers 15 times for mine, but you can make yours as big or as small as you want. Fold them in half and place them in the center. Take those ends and tie them. You don't want to tie too tightly so that the bead goes up, so just be gentle in that first tie. Now you want to wrap a piece around the top to keep it from coming apart. I like my tassels to be about 2 inches from top to the bottom. This is fray check. I'm going to use it on the ends to keep them from unraveling. Repeat this process 5 times. This is how your finished piece should look. Your Havana hammock is complete. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial today. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching.